Today the class of chemistry beneficial for class 10th and the class 12th and 11th also. As you know, I am Dr. Manoj Kumar from VERMA Science Center, giving you online classes on YouTube, so you must have to subscribe Dr. Manoj Kumar, and you get some of the lesson of physics, chemistry, biology, as well as also mathematics for class 7th to 12th, and science portion are also in front of you from class 7th to 12th. Thanking you. Today the class is classification and nomenclature of organic compound. The term organic compound, it is organ from plants and animals. After destroying of organelles of plant and animals, when buried down under the soil or the earth, it get converted into an organic compound, that is not in a limited number, but it has about 10 lakh compounds. So at first we come to discuss about the organic compound. A organic compound is properly a composition of carbon and hydrogen, and other organic compounds are the derivatives of hydrocarbon. Means hydrocarbon, that is hydrogen plus carbon. Hydrogen plus carbon, that is CH4, C2H6, C3H8, and so on. That is C2H4, C3H6, C4H8, that is the organic compound, and C2H2, C3H4, C4H6 are also the organic compound. We come to know about the discuss of what is organic compound and what is the hydrogen. So hydrocarbon all are known as the organic compound having the broad divided into two categories. That categories are number one, open chain. Second is closed chain. Here, open chain. Come to know, very attentive, because this managing the competitive view as medical and engineering and all the others competitive based on intermediate science. This group, that is organic compound, contain about 30% of the questions for the high scoring open chain. It is known as a cyclic chain. A cyclic chain, those organic compound which only representing the covalent bond between the carbon to carbon atom and produce a link to each other in a long chain form, that is called open chain, that is a cyclic chain. A cyclic chain, that is open chain, can be written as example C5H12, that is C bond here. All the carbon atom are co-linkaged with another carbon atom to each other by the co-linkage of 1 and 1 electrons of each carbon atom. It can be written as CH3, CH2, 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 CH3, that is normal pentane. And a cyclic chain also produce two type of chain, that is neo chain and branch chain. Branch chain is known as iso chain. For example, C2, C5H12, it can be representing by this same order, that is H, H, the second carbon of this chain produce an iso one carbon atom co-linkage with the second number of carbon in this series. It can represented CH3, CH2, CH, CH3 CH3. It is isopentane. Isopentane. And this C5H12 also produce a neo chain, that is C5H12. It can be written as CH3 C CH3 CH3 CH3. Here the middle carbon outermost 4 electrons are co-linkage with CH3 around them, that is called neo chain. Here we study about open chain in form of neo. In neo, all the carbon atoms are co-linkage to produce a long chain is called open chain, that is called normal chain. You have to see normal pentane. Here the iso you have also seen, and iso is the organic compound in which one and more than one carbon atom is co-linkage with any of the carbon in chain, either perpendicularly up or perpendicularly down to the one another carbon atom, that is called iso. And in neo you have seen 2 carbon atoms are perpendicularly lifted on the single carbon atom, and other 2 carbon atoms are in a neo form. So this is the neo chain. Second is closed chain. An organic compound as hydrocarbon, which is co-linkage with carbon either by the single covalent bond one to another carbon atom, or alternatingly single and double covalent bond to the carbon atoms and produce a ring shaped structure. So it is called closed chain. For example, C3H6 H6CCC. This carbon atom contains 4 electrons. Similarly, all the carbon atoms have the outermost 4 electrons. Number of hydrogen is 6. Here is the bond between one carbon atom, that is co-linkage with all the carbon atoms and produce 8 electrons. Similarly, it is also produce 8 electrons by the co-linkage or covalent bond. Here the carbon atom also co-linkage with next carbon atom in that structure, that producing a closed chain. So this structure of C3H6 is said cyclopropane. Here the structure, geometrical structure of this compound is in closed manner, so it is called cyclopropane. Another example is C6H6, that is called benzene. Benzene also produce the closed chain structure, but the co-linkage between the alternating carbon atom by the single covalent bond and the double covalent bond, that is as follows. Number of carbon is 6 and number of hydrogen is 6, that is arranged in this order, and when we co-linkage it with carbon and hydrogen, then one carbon atom completing their octave. Similarly, all the carbon completing their octave. It produces a closed chain. that is called benzene. Here we have to observe carbon atoms are co-linkaged by double bond, single bond, double bond, single bond, double bond, single bond, means alternatingly single and double bond. So it can be written in this way that produce a closed chain. That is called benzene. It is the closed chain structure. There are many of closed chain that is called poly closed chain, in which we get many of largest compound that is solid in nature, which is we get and learn after the next lecture. So you have to remember all the structure and their name and their geometrical shape. Now types of closed chain. There are two types of closed chain that is called, number one, homocyclic and alicyclic compound. So here is homocyclic compound. Homocyclic compound divided into two categories, that is alicyclic compound and aromatic compound. At first we have a study about what is homocyclic compound. When definition of homocyclic compound is as when all the atoms of carbons that producing ring is called homocyclic compound. That is in form of this way, this way, this way, these are the homocyclic compound. And also one example, that is single bond between the largest closed chain structure. There are two types of homocyclic compound. Number one, alicyclic compound. Second is aromatic compound. Now, according to classification of hydrocarbon, we have studied later on the alicyclic compound and aromatic compound in the group of hydrocarbon. At first, we know what is hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon is an organic compound. Hydrocarbon is the series of organic compound in which carbon and hydrogen are co-linkaged. Next, one can define the hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon is nothing but intermixing of carbon and hydrogen. There are three types of hydrocarbon. Number one, aliphatic hydrocarbon. Second, cyclic hydrocarbon. Aliphatic hydrocarbon. Aliphatic hydrocarbon, those hydrocarbon in which carbon and hydrogen atoms and carbon atoms are co-linkaged by the single covalent bond, either of double covalent bond, either of triple covalent bond. So, aliphatic hydrocarbon divided into two categories, that is saturated हाइड्रोकार्बन, अनसैचुरेटेड हाइड्रोकार्बन, unsaturated hydrocarbon. Now, today I only go and I teach you only the saturated hydrocarbon. Saturated hydrocarbon. A saturated hydrocarbon is those hydrocarbon in which carbon atoms are co-linkage with another carbon atoms by the linkage of single bond. Single bond. For example, you have a study C2H6, that is C bond C bond H. It is ethane. A saturated hydrocarbon, as you listen, the bonding between the carbon atom is co-linkage by only a single bond. So, it is a saturated hydrocarbon is said to be alkane. Alkane. Now, saturated hydrocarbon is known as alkane. Alkane, the most important chapter in organic chemistry, in which we study about a broad knowledge about the hydrocarbon. Alkane. The suffix is an. That is the first characteristics of alkane. Its GF, general formula, is CnH2n plus 2, where N equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Therefore, N equal to 1, then CnH2n plus 2 is 2. When we put N equal to 1 in this general formula, it produces CnH2 into 1 plus 2, that is CH2 plus 2, that is CH4. It is methane. You have already know the suffix of alkane is ane. यदि कोई कंपाउंड, ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड का प्रोनाउंसिएशन ANE से होता है तो उसे हम एल्केन कहेंगे। सैचुरेटेड हाइड्रोकार्बन कहते हैं their first product is CH4, that is methane. Here is ANE as the suffix. So methane is the first member of saturated hydrocarbon and first member of alkane. Alkane is a paraffin wax. Paraffin. These are the characteristics of alkane. If one can say, one can ask you, what is an alkane? So alkane is the aliphatic saturated hydrocarbon in which carbon atom co-linkage with another carbon atom by the linkage of single bond by the covalent bond is said to be alkane of saturated hydrocarbon of aliphatic hydrocarbon. Aliphatic hydrocarbon. So here the structure of CH4. There are many of properties and characteristics of alkane that I produce very violently to gather to get by the students. CH4, that is carbon, it has 4 electrons in their outermost orbit. It contains 4 hydrogen, that is H, carbon co-linkage by the hydrogen, each of the hydrogen that produce its octave, and hydrogen also share with the carbon outermost electrons to make a methane. It can be derived as CH4, that is methane. The geometrical structure of methane is tetrahedral. You have carbon, it has 4 outermost electrons, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. This electrons is backside of the carbon atom. There are 4 hydrogen, co-linkage with 4 outermost electrons with carbon. It is linkage by the same order. this way. Here angle HCH, this HCH, this HCH, HCH also is 109 degree and 28 second. There are 4 head, 1, 2, 3 and 4 head, so it is known as tetrahedral. This is the geometrical structure of methane. Next, characteristics of alkane, to be continued next day of date 10 May 2020. So you are available on the same time to get and learn more and more. Thanking you and wishes to your betterness.